from the campus of Westfield State University. This is 89.5 FM, WSKB, Westfield. Support for the community programming of WSKB is provided by Westfield Bank. For more than 160 years, Westfield Bank has been an important community presence and commercial leader in the Pioneer Valley, with convenient full banking services in Westfield, West Springfield, East Longmeadow, Agawam, Feeding Hills, Springfield, Southwick, as well as Enfield and Granby, Connecticut. Visit us on the web at westfieldbank.org.
Listening to WSKB 89.5 FM radio for the Westfield Masses and WCPC Cable Channel 15. My name is Tina Gorman. I'm your Wake Up Wednesday host, and I am in the studio this morning with the chairman of the board, Pete Coles. Good morning, Pete.
Good morning.
How are we doing this morning?
Okay. I don't know. I don't know what's going on this week. Have people been having trouble sleeping this week?
Really?
Or is it just me?
I have to say, I had a decent night's sleep last night.
Really?
So, yeah.
Well, the night before, I had one of my smoke detectors. Apparently, the battery decided to quit.
Was it chirping?
No.
It was just...
Mine goes off.
Oh.
This one does. It might be combination of dirty and battery going dead.
Yep.
So it went off at 12:30. I turned on the fan. It stopped dead. I'm like, maybe just stir up the air a little bit.
Yeah.
No, then it went off again at 2:30. I'm like, it's coming down now.
Yep.
I have other smoke alarms in the house.
Yeah.
I'm like, yeah.
Yep.
Needed some sleep.
Yep. My thing is, my safety issue is as long as you have one working on each floor of the house, you should be okay.
15 feet away.
Okay. All right. Good. So, so that can be a bit disruptive. I actually got to bed earlier than I normally do on a Tuesday night. Even Gary said, "Oh, we're getting an extra 15 minutes," but I was tired and I was ready to go to bed, and I had a decent night's sleep last night. I feel pretty refreshed.
I'm still trying to recover from the unexpected double shift on Sunday at Mount Holyoke.
Oh, well, you know what, Pete? That's a lot.
I wasn't ready for that.
Yeah, when you put in a full week here at the weird hours that you keep and then having to do a double shift, that's tough.
Yeah, my partner, the guy that was going to relieve me, he doesn't ever call out sick. So when he calls out sick, he's actually sick.
Yeah,
so
yep.
I'm like, okay, and I feel bad for the boss because if nobody takes it, which on a Sunday afternoon, nobody's going to take it.
Right.
So I'm like, he's like, I'll have to come in, and I'm like, dude, you don't get any time off either, so
yeah,
I'll stay.
Are they making any progress in hiring anybody, Pete, or is it just?
I'm not sure. I know that when they put the thing out saying either you need to work a couple of shifts or you need to walk away. Well, one person walked away about a month or so ago, and then two more people walked away. So
that's tough.
So it's like me.
Yeah,
me and one other person.
I know, that's hard.
And the other person works full time for Westcom, and she's a supervisor, so she gets held over too. So we need to find some people.
Yeah, man.
But it's tough right now hiring.
I know. It's just
and it's tough finding people who want to stay. Like I've been with Mount Holyoke for 11 years now.
Yep.
Most people want to move on to something else when they start as a dispatcher. So
yeah. I know. It's so, I know.
Either EMT or full-time police officer or whatever.
Yeah.
This is a stepping stone.
This is a stepping stone. I was just going to say exactly my words. I was thinking the same thing. It's a stepping stone. And the problem with stepping stones is that they don't last.
It's hard to find people who will stay.
Yeah. And if you get, good people who want to use it as a stepping stone, that's a loss, but I mean, they're good and they want to move on and do the next step and get more training and do what they need to do. And
Right.
we wish them well with that, but it, leaves this gap over here. So.
Right. But then you got to start all over again.
Exactly.
Yep.
It's the whole training process. It's hard. It's hard. We've seen it. We've seen it at in municipal government. It's just hard to find people. I mean, I think slowly Mayor McCabe is filling some of those gaps.
Yeah,
I see we're going to be getting a new DPW director, which is pretty awesome.
Well, I think the candidates were put forward. Did they hire somebody?
Oh, I don't know. I thought that was a done deal. That was on the front of the Westfield News.
Oh, then they must have had their meeting, because I knew they were planning on having a joint meeting.
Okay.
To select somebody, and I knew it was going to be in person, so I wasn't going to be.
Yes,
part of
it was all in person,
Right.
and yeah, so that was. I
Cool.
want to say that was in last week's. I want to say that was on the front page of last week's Westfield News.
Yeah, I'm
so
sure it was, because I think they had
yeah.
said they were going to schedule something quick.
Yep. So that apparently, my guess. Don't quote me on this, but I
Yeah.
believe that was.
If you saw it,
a
I'm
done
sure.
deal.
Yeah,
Yeah,
I'm
that
sure if
was
you
a
saw
done
it, they
deal.
hired somebody.
So that was good, and rumors are that they'll have a new personnel person soon, which would be great because it's hard to hire when you don't really have, I mean, I feel badly for Erica Baker. She's been acting personnel director on and off for forever, I think.
Right.
But anyway, so yeah, we're making progress, but it's slow. There's just a lot of open positions.
We got lucky at City Clerk that we had somebody that was willing to apply for the job.
Yep.
And had institutional knowledge. That's the bigger part.
Yes. Yeah,
Seriously.
absolutely. Yeah. Caitlin Bruce is our city clerk. And I was talking to Marissa Colon, who's the principal clerk over in the city clerk's office. And she said, yeah, things are coming along really nicely now. She said, there's a lot going on. Obviously, we're heading into an election. Well, we're actually in it because early voting has started, and mail-in ballots and all that kind of stuff. But they are rocking and rolling in the city clerk's office. I give them a lot of credit. It's not an easy thing to do, to be, stepping into that leadership role right now. And then, as Marissa said, after this, they'll have the census going on, and the city census happens in January, so there's not really a break in the action.
Yep.
All right. So, did you get any sleep at all this weekend, Pete? I'm thinking, oh my
I did.
God,
Yeah, I did. I just,
Yeah.
you weren't
do the
really
best you
ready
can.
for that.
Yeah. Did you
So according to Mass Live in the Westfield News, Jeff Camelli got the job.
Yes. Yeah. I couldn't remember his name.
Yep.
Nice picture of him, and on the front page, and yeah. All right.
That was a long, protracted thing. That lasted forever.
Lord have mercy. And that was one where, Dave Billups, who was the former department head, DPW, director of DPW, had given over a year's notice. I mean, it wasn't like we didn't see this coming, because I can remember going to a department head meeting, and he said, and this was like, I want to say like in August or September, and he said, my last day is going to be October, whatever it was, of, the following year. And he like he put it out there. So it's like we had well over a year's notice.
But it's hard. The way they approached it at the beginning, I think, kind of weeded out a lot of people. I've been through most of the process with them.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Well, and you know what?
I was doing the Zoom meetings.
I know. And, some of it has to do with the job description tasks. Some of it has to do, I mean, this is for any new department head position, or if they're, if someone's leaving. When somebody leaves a department head position, that's
actually any position nowadays.
Or
you
any
really
position,
got to review.
Right. You're right. Exactly. Really, any position. So what you're doing is you're looking at it. Now you go back to the job description and say, well, do we want to keep this exactly the way it is? And in most cases, you don't. I mean, in most cases, it's like, you know what? We need to tweak this, add this, take away this. Somebody else is already doing that, but 3 other things got added to this job. Do we want to merge jobs? Do we want to reassign tasks? I mean, that absolutely happens. We did it when Karen Noblet retired. I did it. We looked at the job description. There were certain things that, we added to the job description, and some things that, not too many things that I took away. Mostly I added.
Yeah, I know when I put out the job description for my part-timers, I'm like, it really needs to be super flexible, because, and that's paid off for me, because it's not just doing meetings. It's, I had to hire Kenny and Emily because the superintendent wanted to do his show which he's done every year on the road at Fort Meadow. And we had a week where the freshmen are just doing 1 week, and the seniors, there's only a couple of them that are actually interested in this, and they weren't available. One of them's on co-op.
Yeah.
It's like,
yeah.
all right, well, hey, Emily, what are you doing next Thursday?
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Exactly.
And I'm hiring her to help with Veterans Day.
Yeah.
Because Kenny is going to be over in Southwick doing their Veterans Day.
Well, I was going to say, Kenny, I imagine, is doing whatever Southwick has going on over there.
Right. So I got to shoot the parade, and Emily's going to shoot the ceremony. You know, it's like, okay.
Yeah, I know. Yep, I know. We do the best we can. But yeah, you're right, Pete. So typically what happens is you kind of revamp job descriptions, and you can't put the word out there. You can't start interviews and post the job until you've got the description all set. People want to know what they're applying for. What do you expect me to do? And to be fair too, sometimes if you're changing job descriptions around, you're also changing the salary because it depends on what you're doing. So all of those things, take time. We know that. And I think for the DPW position,
but we have come a long way in filling a lot of roles here.
We have. And the other thing that happens is, certain positions require certain qualifications. Those have to get looked at as well. If you're adding certain tasks, well, now does that mean that this person requires a license for that? There's a lot to it that I think people aren't necessarily aware of, but I'm really, really happy that DPW position's been filled. And thank you to Fran Kane and Casey Berube. I think they've done a really outstanding job trying to fill in, and that's not easy to do either. I know. I was interim director for 3 years at the Council on Aging, so you're sort of in charge, but you're not exactly official.
Yep.
You're kind of in these murky waters. All right, so I do want to make sure that I announce that we have the Bay State Noble Ball coming up. So for the first time, it's back since 2019. They haven't done an in-person Bay State Noble Ball, but that will be happening on November 5th at the Mass Mutual Center in Springfield. And the theme this year it's inspired by the art of Vincent van Gogh. So the theme they're calling it Starry, Starry Night. This is a major fundraiser for healthcare in the greater Westfield area. And this year, proceeds will help to create a simulation lab at Bay State Noble Hospital. This lab will provide educational and training opportunities to Bay State Noble nurses, creating more hands-on experiences in a simulated environment. But the thing that's really cool about this lab that they have proposed is the simulation lab will be outfitted with 2 new state-of-the-art responsive mannequins, crash cart, defibrillator, and other critical care tools. The teaching space will also be open to other organizations, not just the Noble Hospital nurses, but other organizations in the community, including Westfield Vocational Technical High School's Certified Nurses Aid program and the American Red Cross CNA program. The Bay State Noble Ball begins at 6 p.m. with a creative cocktail hour followed by dinner and dancing. Tickets are $200 per person and can be purchased by visiting baystatehealth.org/nobleball. So if you are so inclined.
And I've been trying to get people to advertise their stuff.
Yeah.
So I reached out to Jennifer Gruska and I said, send me some stuff that I can put on. It's been running on Channel 12. So
great.
Because, people are just starting to get back out there.
Well, it's one of those things where it's like, oh, are they doing it in person this year? Are they not doing it in person? I think the last couple of years they've done
last year
it
they did an auction,
yeah,
right?
they did the auction piece of it. And I think that Jeff and Jennifer Daly are chairs,
correct,
hosts,
yes.
whatever. That was supposed to happen, back in 2020, and then I think that all got put on hold. But anyway, it should be a great time. I'm looking forward to it. Gary and I will be there as guests of Ron Bryant and his lovely wife, and Akinyele Lovelace will be at our table, and Christina. So that ought to be a 1,000 laughs right off the bat. Gary's looking forward to that. So
I will be away when that's going on.
Will you? Where are you
heading?
First
weekend in November.
Where are you going to?
There's a launch of an Antares rocket Sunday morning at 5:50 a.m. So
now where is that?
Virginia.
Virginia. Okay. You going down solo or Kenny?
Kenny's going
Christy?
too.
What's going?
Kenny's
Kenny.
going
You and
too.
Kenny.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yep.
So is that a long weekender kind of thing, or?
Well, we book out till Wednesday just in case it gets delayed for weather.
Okay. So just let me know if I'm altering my shows in any way because I have things lined up. So
We
have to do any taping.
if it goes off on Sunday, we'll probably come back early. We
okay.
They're. I got to talk to Patrick, but he had expressed interest in doing a live shot on Monday morning for Mass Appeal, talking about space. So
okay, yeah, he would probably love that. Very cool. All right, okay. So yeah, just let me know if there are any dates that affect the show, and because I think I've got pretty much my November people lined up. So if we have to rearrange, we can do that in advance. All right. So it is 6:15. You're listening to WSKB 89.5 FM radio for the Westfield Masses and WCPC cable channel 15.
Now, the actual name of this song is not what you put down there. Well, it's actually, technically, it's both. But the actual name of this song is Vincent.
Oh, you're right. You are absolutely right. It is that you are right. And because I have the Don McLean American Pie album.
Right.
So we're going to listen to the song Vincent. I put down Starry, Starry Night. And
which
that was
in brackets. It's the secondary title.
Right. But the song really is Vincent. It's by Don McLean. It's from his American Pie album. And this is because this is the theme of the upcoming Noble Ball. We'll be back.
Starry, starry night. Paint your palette blue and gray. Look out on a summer's day with eyes that know the darkness in my soul. Shadows on the hills. Sketch the trees and the daffodils. Catch the breeze and the winter chills in colors on the snowy linen land. Now I understand what you tried to say to me, and how you suffered for your sanity, and how you tried to set them free. They would not listen, they did not know how. Perhaps they'll listen now. Starry, starry night. Flaming flowers that brightly blaze, swirling clouds in violet haze, reflect in Vincent's eyes of china blue, colors changing hue. Morning fields of amber grain, weathered faces lined in pain, are soothed beneath the artist's loving hand. Now I understand what you tried to say to me, and how you suffered for your sanity, and how you tried to set them free. They would not listen, they did not know how. Perhaps they'll listen now, for they could not love you. But still your love was true. And when no hope was left inside on that starry, starry night, you took your life as lovers often do. But I could have told you, Vincent, this world was never meant for one as beautiful as you. Starry, starry night. Portraits hung in empty halls, frameless heads on nameless walls, with eyes that watch the world and can't forget, like the strangers that you've met, the ragged men in ragged clothes, a silver thorn, a bloody rose, lie crushed and broken on the virgin snow. Now I think I know what you tried to say to me, and how you suffered for your sanity, and how you tried to set them free. They would not listen, they're not listening still. Perhaps they never
Underwriting for the community programming of WSKB is provided by the Boys and Girls Club of Greater Westfield. serving the youth of the Whip City and surrounding communities since 1969. For more information on the Great Futures Club for ages 3 to 5, happening weekdays, and the Club Teen Center for ages 11 and older, weekdays from 6:30 till 8 p.m., go online at bcgwestfield.org or visit the club at 28 West Silver Street. The Boys and Girls Club of Greater Westfield. Great futures start here.
Hi, this is Harry Rock, host of Rock on Westfield every fourth Wednesday at 8 a.m. Tune in for my view of this place I call home.
Community Radio.
89.5 WSKB. Live from Studio 120 at Westfield Technical Academy, this is WCPC Channel 15 at 89.5 FM WSKB Westfield.
Good morning, Westfield. It is 6:21. You're listening to WSKB 89.5 FM radio for the Westfield masses and WCPC Cable Channel 15. My name is Tina Gorman. I'm your Wake Up Wednesday host, and I am in the studio this morning with the chairman of the board, Pete Coles. Good morning again, Pete.
Good morning.
So, Pete, do you know who Harry's guest is this morning? Do you
Bo
know?
Sullivan.
Oh, how fun. From the Boys and Girls Club.
Correct.
Yay. Always a good time.
Yep.
All right. So I spent much of my weekend, cleaning closets and switching my summer and winter clothes just in time for it to be a balmy 70 degrees outside today.
This always happens,
It does. And I waited. I usually do this Columbus Day weekend, but I said, no, we're going to get some warm days. And then I went through this stretch where I was freezing, trying to, grab stuff out of boxes that were, in closets. And I said, okay, time to make the switch, time to put on the fleece sheets, time to, do the whole thing. I woke up this morning and I was going, what the heck? I was like in a sweat. And I'm going, what's going on?
It's going to be like 70 today.
Yeah, it was 64 when I left my house at 5:20.
Muggy, yes. Very muggy, yes.
Yeah, it's kind of muggy out. And we are going to get more rain. But today is the last of it. Oh, Pete, you know what happened on Monday? So Mary Lou and I go out to do curbside lunches on Monday. We get 2 cars through the line. And it was just kind of like misting a little bit. The heavens opened up. And for the next half hour that we were out there, it was just pouring. I mean, it was just pouring. It was awful. I mean, thankfully it wasn't super cold, but and today it's kind of muggy.
Speaking
out
of which,
there.
I have to come over early
Yes.
this afternoon and train you guys how to use that camera for tomorrow.
Okay.
Because I'm going to be hosting Southwick Schools wants to come over and take a look at the studio. So
Okay. No students available to help out tomorrow?
No, because they're busy with
Okay.
stuff here. They just had something pop up yesterday, so
Okay.
it's very
Okay.
simple. It's
Okay.
literally one button.
Okay. All right. Well, the only thing I'm thinking is Irv Lewis, who's our entertainment for tomorrow, does like to work the room. So I'm going to have to be able to follow him around a little bit.
Oh, he walks around.
He does.
Do we go in the middle of the room or something, and
Yes.
back of the room?
Yeah. I mean, he goes table to table. That's just his style. I mean, he's on the stage a lot, don't get me wrong, but he definitely roams the floor.
All right. If you don't mind a wide shot for the whole thing, I have no problem.
I'm sorry?
If you don't mind a wide shot.
Wide shot for the whole thing. Okay.
Yeah, because it really doesn't zoom.
Okay,
It is what it is.
Yeah. Okay. All right. Okay.
I'll show you guys.
Yeah, show me. All right. Sounds good. And I can tell him to stay within a certain radius.
No, you don't have to. It just it's going to be. He's going to be very small for a lot of it because you're going to be far back.
Yeah,
so.
I know. That's what I'm. So, all right. Let me ponder that. We'll work that out this afternoon.
Yeah.
Okay. So today is the October 26th. So we do have some interesting birthdays today. So it is the birthday of the late Edward Brooke, who was a Massachusetts legislator, really interesting man. He was born on this day in 1919 in Washington, D.C., and he lived to the ripe old age of 95. He didn't die until 2015. Edward Brooke graduated from Howard University before serving in the United States Army during World War II. After the war, he received a law degree from Boston University. In 1962, after earning the Republican nomination for Massachusetts Attorney General, he easily defeated the Democratic challenger. As the only member of his party to win statewide election in 1962 and the first African American to serve as a state attorney general, Brooke garnered national attention. After 2 terms as attorney general, he served in that role from 1962 to 1966. Brooke announced his candidacy in 1965 for the U.S. Senate seat, left vacant by the retirement of Leverett Saltonstall. On November 8, 1966, Edward Brooke earned a seat in the 90th Congress, winning 62% of the vote. His victory met with considerable fanfare both in Massachusetts and the nation. Brooke was the first African American elected to the Senate since the Reconstruction era. During his Senate career, he championed the causes of low-income housing and an increased minimum wage and promoted commuter rail and mass transit systems. While he professed loyalty to the Republican Party, he was an independent thinker who acted according to his conscience. Throughout his political career, Brooke demonstrated resiliency and defined himself as a representative of his entire constituency rather than as an African-American senator seeking solely to advance black interests. He received the Presidential Medal of Freedom in a White House ceremony on June 23, 2004, and was awarded the Congressional Gold Medal in 2008. Pretty cool guy. So happy birthday to the late Edward Brooke, Massachusetts legislator. An independent thinker.
Doesn't happen very often nowadays.
That's a novelty, isn't it? I mean, it's a novelty to profess, your party affiliation and say, there are times when I'm going to cross the aisle, and and that goes for both directions. By the way, I'm not promoting one over the other, but Okay, it is also the birthday today of Hillary Clinton, First Lady, Senator, presidential candidate, born on this day in 1947 in Chicago, Illinois. She's 75 years old today. As an undergraduate at Wellesley College, Hillary Clinton mixed academic excellence with school government. In 1969, she entered Yale Law School, where she served on the board of editors of Yale Law Review and Social Action, interned with children's advocate Marian Wright Edelman, and met Bill Clinton. They married in 1975. She joined the faculty of the University of Arkansas Law School in 1975 and the Rose Law Firm in 1976. In 1978, President Jimmy Carter appointed Hillary Clinton to the board of the Legal Services Corporation, and Bill Clinton became governor of Arkansas. Hillary Clinton served as Arkansas's First Lady for 12 years, balancing family, law, and public service. When her husband served as president from 1993 to 2001, as the nation's First Lady, Hillary Clinton continued to balance public service with private life. Her active role began in 1993 when the president asked her to chair the Task Force on National Health Care Reform. She continued to be a leading advocate for expanding health insurance coverage, ensuring children are properly immunized, and raising public awareness of health issues. Hillary Clinton was elected United States Senator from New York in 2000, and she served as Secretary of State from 2009 to 2013 under President Barack Obama. Hillary Clinton was the party's nominee for president in the 2016 presidential election, becoming the first woman to win a presidential nomination by a major U.S. political party. Clinton won the popular vote but lost the Electoral College vote, thereby losing the election to Donald Trump. So happy 75th birthday to Hillary Clinton. All right. It is time. Let's take a break because then I have some other stuff. And before we do that, let me just announce my guest for today. So normally on the fourth Wednesday of the month, I have Joe Rouse, Director of Public Health. And so I texted Joe Rouse on Friday and said, "Ooh, what would you like to talk about on the show on Wednesday?" And the text was like, "Oops, I forgot to tell you I'm going to be at the Cape all week at a public health conference. So I won't be on the show." And I had just finished preparing everything. Like I was just buttoning it all up, So I was like, ugh. So what did I do? I thought, okay, time to recruit one of my staff members. So who hasn't been on the show in a while? And then I remembered I hired a staff member last year who has never been on the show with me since we've been here. The only time that she was on the show with me, Pete, we were still up at the college. That was eons ago. That was early on in my radio career. She was on with Sue Wood, and it is Carol Palmer. But Carol now works for me. She's our group exercise instructor and teaches a couple of exercise classes at the senior center. So, the last time Carol was on my show, she was still working. It was before she retired, working at the YMCA, and she and Sue Wood, I think, came on together. to talk about the, fitness classes. And that was probably right after we opened the new senior center. So I'm really excited to have her back. We're going to talk about the importance of exercise, but we're also going to talk about how to incorporate exercise into your everyday activities without, necessarily joining an expensive gym or something like that. So, and of course, Carol's just always a lot of fun. And Halloween is coming up, so you never know what the heck she's got up her sleeve. So stay tuned. So she will be joining us after she drops grandchild off at school. So she'll be here around 7:15, 7:20, something like that. All right. So now that I've given her that great intro, let's take a break. It is 6:31. You're listening to WSKB 89.5 FM radio for the Westfield masses on WCPC cable channel 15. So in honor of the birthday of Edward Brooke, because he did so much on affordable housing and because housing is such an issue right now. I mean, there isn't a day that goes by that I don't hear a housing story on the radio news or read it in the paper, which I did this morning, or experience it at the senior center, which we're doing on a daily basis. So I thought we would play a song by Crosby, Stills, Nash & Young called Our House. We'll be back.
I'll light the fire. You place the flowers in the vase that you bought today. Staring at the fire for hours and hours while I listen to you play your love songs all night long. For me, only for me. Come to me now, rest your head for just 5 minutes. Everything is done. Such a cozy room. The windows are illuminated by the evening sunshine through them. Fiery gems for you. Only for you. Our house is a very, very, very fine house with 2 cats in the yard. Life used to be so hard. Now everything is easy 'cause of you. And now, la 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 Our house is a very, very, very fine house with 2 cats in the yard. Life used to be so hard. Now everything is easy 'cause of you. And now I'll light the fire while you place the flowers in the vase that you bought today.
Underwriting support for the community programming of WSKB is provided by the Greater Westfield Chamber of Commerce, the voice of business for the Greater Westfield communities. Informing, educating, advocating, the Chamber provides opportunities for members to make meaningful connections on local, regional, and state levels. For more information on the Chamber's many events, workshops, and programs, as well as the benefits of membership, visit westfieldbiz.org. The Chamber focuses on the most important economy, yours.
Hi, it's Bob Plass, and I have Wow, It's Tuesday, every Tuesday, 6 to 8. Wow, it's Tuesday.
Community Radio.
89.5 WSKB.
I did it!
Live from Studio 120 at Westfield Technical Academy, this is WCPC Channel 15 and 89.5 FM, WSKB Westfield.
Good morning, Westfield. It is 6:35. You're listening to WSKB 89.5 FM, radio for the Westfield masses, and WCPC Cable Channel 15. My name is Tina Gorman. I'm your Wake Up Wednesday host, and I am in the studio this morning with the chairman of the board, Pete Coles. Good morning again, Pete.
Good morning.
So I have to spend a few minutes talking about Barbara Bernard. I saw in last week's paper, nope, this was dated October 10th. What's today? Today's the 26th, so a couple weeks ago. Barbara Bernard wrote an article. She writes for The Republican, and she wrote an article, and the title was Farewell and Thank You, Dear Readers. And I thought, oh no, Barbara Bernard is retiring, and she really is retiring. I have read her column for years. I mean, she's been around forever. And when I was the director of the Learning and Later Life program at Springfield College, we had Barbara Bernard come and do a presentation, and she was just so wonderful, so down to earth. I had no idea how old she was, and so I started reading this article that she, her farewell article, her swan song, and she said, some goodbyes made wonderful sense, such as quitting smoking when I was 30 years old. But right now I am ending something which has brought me joy for 85 years, and you can bet I'm sad. And I'm thinking, 85 years? Wait a minute, how old is she? And she said, I was 10 years old in the 6th grade at Mark Hopkins Grammar School in North Adams when Jack Carlo and I became co-editors of the school newspaper. I continued as the editor of the newspaper at Drury High School and joined the newspaper staff at Mount Holyoke College. It was while I was at Mount Holyoke that I got into some big-time stuff as a stringer for the New York Times, a reporter for the Holyoke Transcript, and had stories published in such magazines as Story Parade, Cosmopolitan, and the Ladies' Home Journal. And she talks about her work as a columnist for The Republican is now coming to an end on my own volition. But what amazed me is I was like, all right, so how old is Barbara Bernard? Barbara Bernard is 95 years old. 95 years old.
Holy cow.
And it's beyond holy cow. She's 30 years older than I am and was still going strong writing her articles, a month ago. She is my new idol. I mean, I've always loved her, and I think her articles are just great and really thought-provoking, but she just got raised into the idol category. But just a fabulous woman. Her career, I got to get her on this show because her career is just, it's storied. I mean, it just goes back, and she's done everything. She's done radio, she's done television, she's written for magazines and newspapers, and what a great woman. So Barbara Bernard, thank you for 85 years of amazing writing and just an amazing career. I salute you. I'm going to get you on the show. If nothing else, we can Zoom her in, Peter, or at least get her on the phone.
Yeah, that's fine.
So, yeah. I think that'll be great. Okay, couple of announcements of some things that are happening, and then we'll do some more birthdays. The Athenaeum, the Westfield Athenaeum, they are taking Luminaria orders. So Luminaria orders are open for the 3rd year. Individuals and organizations can purchase personalized Starlights luminarias, decorated bags with a light inside, at $7 each, to be displayed in the windows of downtown Westfield businesses throughout December. Funds raised will support the programs of the Friends of the Westfield Athenaeum. For more information or to download an order form, you can just go to the Westfield Athenaeum website, and if you just type in Westath, WESTATH.org, and then it'll take you to, you can get into the Friends of the Library, and it'll take you to this. So paper order forms are also available if you want to go to the circulation desk at the Athenaeum. And the deadline to order is coming up. It's November 15th. The Starlights Luminarias fundraiser is also sponsored by Polish National Credit Union, and Home Depot has agreed to cover the cost of many of the supplies needed for the luminarias. So thank you to Home Depot for that. So that's a true community effort. We got all kinds of community partners involved in that one. Also, tomorrow in addition to our big 7-year-itch anniversary party at the Senior Center. The Arbors is hosting a Booze and Brews, Booze, B-O-O-S, and Brews open house from 3 to 7 p.m. And this is just an opportunity. You don't have to sign up for it. You don't have to call them in advance. It's just an open house. So I think this is a great idea because I think it's a really wonderful opportunity for people to go check out the Arbors. You can kind of see what it's all about. If you have any questions, whether it's for yourself or a loved one, if you're a family member, and there's no, you don't have to feel, pressure of making an appointment and sitting down with, someone from the admissions, organization or anything like that. You can go in and kind of take a look-see, look around. If you've never been into an assisted living facility or if you've never been into the Arbors, it really gives you a nice flavor for what they do and what they're all about. So I really think this is just an excellent opportunity because there's no obligation for anything. You don't have to sign up for anything. You don't have to get on their mailing list. You can just go check it out. And it's a pretty big window between 3 and 7 o'clock. So even if you're a family member, you want to go check it out maybe for mom or dad or, auntie or uncle or whatever, you can stop by on your way home from work. And even if you just drop by for, 15 or 20 minutes, meet a couple of the staff members and, kind of take a walk around. So that's tomorrow, Thursday, October 27th from 3 to 7 p.m. So that's that. Okay, let's do another birthday. It is the birthday of Keith Urban, guitarist, songwriter, singer, born on this date in 1967 in New Zealand. He's 55 years old today. Australian transplant Keith Urban decided to pursue stardom in Nashville in the 1990s. In 1999, he released a self-titled solo album which featured the #1 country hit, But for the Grace of God, setting the table for an impressive career that produced top-selling albums like Defying Gravity and Fuse, as well as numerous Grammy, Country Music Association, and Academy of Country Music wins. In 2001, Keith Urban was named Top New Male Vocalist at the Country Music Association Awards. His second album, 2002's Golden Road, included 2 more #1 singles, Somebody Like You and Who Wouldn't Want to Be Me. After touring with the likes of Brooks and Dunn and Kenny Chesney, Keith Urban headlined his own tour in 2004. He also released another album, Be Here, and the following year he was named the Country Music Awards Entertainer of the Year, Male Vocalist of the Year, and International Artist of the Year. It's pretty impressive. Yeah. Additionally, Keith Urban was chosen as a judge for season 12 of the popular singing competition show American Idol. A popular judge, he remained with the show for 4 seasons through the end of its initial run in 2016. So happy 55th birthday to New Zealand transplant Keith Urban. It's so funny to think. I had to read that twice. I kept reading that going, okay, wait, we have a country singer who was born in New Zealand?
Yes.
That seems very interesting to me, but so it is. All right, so happy birthday to Keith Urban. Okay, we'll do one more birthday before we take a little break. It is also this is another Keith, but entirely different, born in a different country. It is the birthday of Keith Hopwood, guitarist and singer-songwriter, born on this day in 1946 in England. He's 76 years old today. Keith Hopwood is an English pop and rock musician, singer-songwriter, composer, businessman, and record producer who served as the rhythm guitarist and backing vocals for the 1960s pop band Herman's Hermits. A talented musician and composer, Hopwood continues to live and work in the music industry in the UK. Several rare demo recordings from his time in Herman's Hermits are available through his website. Peter Noon, who was the lead vocalist for Herman's Hermits, credits his old friend with coming up with the idea of recording Mrs. Brown, You've Got a Lovely Daughter as an afterthought when Herman's Hermits were short of material for their first album. Noon's heavily accented delivery, together with Hopwood's muted rhythm guitar work, propelled the track to #1 on the U.S. Billboard Hot 100 chart. In 1968, Keith Hopwood and Derek Leckenby founded Pluto Music, a company that composes musical scores for commercials, films, and animation. Leckenby died in 1994, but Hopwood continues operating the company even today. Pluto Studios has been very successful, providing services to many top acts. Hopwood has proven himself a fine soundtrack composer, working mostly on animated television series, including the hugely successful Bob the Builder. Always a composer, he wrote and co-wrote numerous songs recorded by Herman's Hermits and other bands. So happy 76th birthday to Keith Hopwood, guitarist, singer, and songwriter, and composer.
There you go.
Okay, it is 6:46. You're listening to WSKB 89.5 FM, radio for the Westfield masses on WCPC cable channel 15. And it just is coincidental that I actually chose another Crosby, Stills, Nash & Young song because we had these two legislators, one who was really involved with housing, one who was really involved with children and children's services, and that was Hillary Clinton. So we're going to go with Teach Your Children by Crosby, Stills, Nash & Young in honor of the birthday of Hillary Clinton. We'll be back.
You who are on the road must have a code that you can live by. And so, become yourself, because the past is just a goodbye. Teach your children well, their father's hell did slowly go by, and feed them on your dreams. The one they picked, the one you know by. Don't you ever ask them why, if they told you you would cry. So just look at them and sigh, and know they love you. Of tender years, can't know the fears that your elders grew by, and so please help them with your youth. They seek the truth before they can die. Teach your parents well, their children's hell will slowly go by, and feed them on your dreams. The one they picked, the one you know by. Don't you ever ask them why, if they told you you would cry. So just look at them and sigh, and know they love you.
Underwriting for Community Radio on WSKB is brought to you in part by Rockies. Over 30 convenient locations throughout Massachusetts, Rhode Island, New Hampshire, Connecticut, and Florida. One of the nation's largest ACE dealers. Expertise and great product selection in paint, hardware, lawn and garden. That's Rockies. Rock solid service since 1926. On the web at rockies.com.
I'm Mark Auerbach. Join me every Friday at 8 a.m. for Arts Beat, where you'll meet interesting actors, directors, designers, and musicians here in Western New England. Community Radio.
89.5 WSKB. Live from Studio 120 at Westfield Technical Academy, this is WCPC Channel 15 at 89.5 FM, WSKB Westfield.
Good morning, Westfield. It is 6:50. You're listening to WSKB 89.5 FM, radio for the Westfield masses on WCPC Cable Channel 15. My name is Tina Gorman. I'm your Wake Up Wednesday host, and I'm in the studio this morning with the chairman of the board, Pete Coles. Good morning again, Pete.
Good morning.
So, Pete, today is the birthday of Pat Sajak, television game show host, born on this day in 1946. Thank you, Pete. In Chicago, Illinois. He's 76 years old today. And again, still going strong. So Pat Sajak is an American television personality, obviously, and game show host. He is best known as the host of the American television game show Wheel of Fortune, a position he has held since 1981.
If you want the fancy version, there's this one.
Have I ever heard the fancy? When did they use the fancy
That's
version?
the prize puzzle.
Oh, okay. All right. So, but interesting to know how Pat Sajak got started on Wheel of Fortune. So, first of all, for his work on Wheel, Sajak has received 19 nominations for the Daytime Emmy Award for Outstanding Game Show Host, winning 3 times. But this is really funny. In 1981, Merv Griffin asked Sajak if he would be interested in taking over the duties as host on Wheel of Fortune from Chuck Woolery. So Pat Sajak was not the original host of it was Chuck Woolery.
Well, back then, remember you went shopping after every puzzle that the game dragged on forever?
I don't remember. Yes, now that you're saying it, I remember
you
that.
spent your money, you didn't just get the cash?
There you go. That's right. You're right. That's right. However, Fred Silverman, the president and CEO of NBC, rejected Sajak's hiring, claiming he was too local. And Merv Griffin responded by imposing a moratorium on new tapings until Sajak was hired. So there was this real, push and pull
Battle
over
of
there.
wills.
Yeah, exactly. Now, the issue became moot when Silverman was dismissed due to repeated programming failures. Sajak, who had already hosted 2 game show pilots in 1980, accepted the position. He hosted both the daytime and syndicated evening versions of Wheel from 1983 to 1989 and continues to host the latter version. With Pat Sajak returning for his 36th season, that was back in 2018-19, he became the longest-running host of any game show, surpassing Bob Barker, who hosted The Price is Right from 1972 to 2007. Pat Sajak was officially honored as such by the Guinness Book of World Records, with the episode aired on May 8th, 2019, 2 days before the primetime version's 7,000th episode. That is a lot of episodes of Wheel of Fortune. Amazing. So I have a great Wheel of Fortune story for you, Pete.
Okay.
So back many years ago when Grace was little, she was about 3 years old, and my in-laws were babysitting her for a long weekend. Gary and I had taken off to Bermuda. I think that was for one of my birthdays. So anyway, my mother-in-law loved Wheel of Fortune. She's a puzzle solver. She loves doing puzzles, so she loved the show. Now, this was back in the day when my in-laws were living in northern New Jersey. They're both deceased now, but and they were getting all the New York stations, so they did not have cable television. Okay, because they were getting their 7 or 8 stations, and they were happy with that. So when they came to visit us, of course, we had cable, because around here you couldn't, you get like 1 station if you don't have cable. So every evening, my mother-in-law would take Grace upstairs to give her a bath. And my father-in-law would just be, flipping around. Well, he discovered on one of the cable channels that Wheel of Fortune was on. It's usually on, I think, at 7 o'clock on NBC.
Right.
But he found that it was on at 6:30 on some other, wackadoo cable station. But it was the same one. It was that Wheel of Fortune, right? So my mother-in-law's upstairs. Oh, you can see where this is going, right? My mother-in-law's upstairs giving Grace a bath. My father-in-law discovers this, and now he's watching Wheel of Fortune. So now he switches the channel when she comes to, because now she's got Gracie all done because she wants to be ready to watch Wheel of Fortune with Pat Sajak and Vanna White at 7 o'clock. So she comes down at exactly 7 o'clock. Okay, Bob, do you have Wheel of Fortune? Oh, yes. Rita, I got it on. Oh, here we go. So this started like on, at the beginning of the week where he started. Exactly. So they're putting him up and he's waiting a little while before he comes up with the answer, of course, before the contestant. So my mother-in-law, this goes on for a few days, and my mother-in-law goes, Bob, you know, she used to watch it by herself. So she said, you are really good at these puzzles. She goes, I had no idea how good you were at this. She goes, I struggle with some of these. You're getting these really quick. Well, it got to where he was, by the end of the week, he was like getting better and better and better. And so, he wasn't waiting as long until he solved the puzzle. They'd get a few letters up. Well, it finally got to the end when he decided it's time to tell, Nanny what's been going on here. So now it's, the subject is thing or whatever it was, place, and they put up the boxes and my father-in-law shouts out the answer. And my mother-in-law goes, what? And he shouts out the answer. And of course that, as it turns out, that is the answer. So he came clean. Yeah. He came clean. Well,
didn't take very long, did he?
Oh my gosh. But he said he had more fun teasing my mother-in-law because she thought he was the greatest puzzle solver on earth because he was getting these faster and better and so forth. So we had a good time with that. He thought that was a lot of fun. So happy 76th birthday to Pat Sajak, still going strong. I'm really impressed. And we have one more birthday to do, and it is the birthday of Lauren Choose. She is an actress who was born on this day in 1953 in Braddock, Pennsylvania. She's 69 years old today. Yes, you knew exactly who that was.
Didn't even have to look that one up.
Lauren Choose is best known for playing Julie McCoy on the television comedy anthology series The Love Boat, which originally aired on ABC from 1977 to 1986. Lauren Choo's first big break came in mid-1974 when she starred in a Lipton iced tea commercial, allowing her to join the Screen Actors Guild and register with an agent with the prospect to work on film projects. Choose was soon cast in roles on the primetime television series Charlie's Angels, Vegas, and Family. However, it was her role in Starsky and Hutch as Sharon Fremont, an assistant district attorney, which brought her to the attention of Aaron Spelling. Choose was cast for the role of cruise director Julie McCoy on The Love Boat, selected from more than 100 actresses who auditioned. She starred in the third and final pilot of the show, cast the day before production began on the RMS Queen Mary in Long Beach. In 1984, after 7 seasons on The Love Boat, Choose was replaced after a highly public battle with cocaine addiction, which she eventually overcame. She reprised her role as a guest in a 1985 episode and in the television movies. Well, you know what? So they're bringing back The Love Boat, right, Pete? The television show, The Love Boat. But this is the reality version of The Love Boat. And every time I see that commercial, I say to Gary, I don't want the reality version. I want Isaac the bartender, and I want Julie the cruise director. And who was Captain Steubing, right? Was that his name? Captain Steubing? And who was the gopher guy, right? He
actually became a congressman.
Yes, I know. But I want that crew. I don't want the reality Love Boat. I want the non-reality, take me away to, this fantasy island kind of thing.
And I got to meet Ted Lang.
I know you did. Did you get to meet him when he was doing
yes.
On the Rocks?
Yes.
Christmas on the Rocks.
Yes.
Oh. The year that I saw the show, he was not the bartender that year. I know
right, there was the older guy. That guy.
There was a different guy, and he was great.
He was good too.
He was very good.
Yep. So Ted came on, and then COVID hit, and he did it virtually. So he voiced because they shot it from the angle of the bartender.
Yeah.
So he voiced his role.
Okay.
And then last year he was live in person.
Oh, so cool. Well, happy birthday to Lauren Choose, or as we know her, Julie McCoy from The Love Boat.
Mm-hmm.
All right. Let's take a top of the hour break. It is almost 7 o'clock. It's 6:59, so we're going to take our top of the hour break. You're listening to WSKB 89.5 FM radio for the Westfield Masses and WCPC cable channel 15. When we come back, we have some October tidbits and some announcements, and we will await the arrival of Carol Palmer. We'll be back.
Support for community radio on WSKB is provided by Betts Plumbing and Heating Supply Company, an independent, family-owned wholesaler serving Westfield for over 50 years, specializing in plumbing, heating, and industrial piping supplies. On the web at bettsplumbing.com or at 14 Coleman Avenue in Westfield.
Listen to me, Michael Buster McMahon, Mondays 8 to 10 a.m. to learn the stories behind your favorite songs. Or don't. I'm not the boss of you.
Community Radio.
89.5 WSKB. Live from Studio 120 at Westfield Technical Academy, this is WCPC Channel 15 at 89.5 FM, WSKB Westfield.
Good morning, Westfield. It is 7:02. You're listening to WSKB 89.5 FM radio for the Westfield masses and WCPC Cable Channel 15. My name is Tina Gorman. I'm your Wake Up Wednesday host, and I am in the studio this morning with the chairman of the board, Pete Coles. Good morning again, Pete.
Good morning.
Pete, I just looked outside while we were listening to Aretha sing in Respect. It is pitch black out there.
Yes, it is.
It's 7 o'clock in the morning, and I looked out to see, like, hey,
it's foggy.
What's the weather? Holy smokes.
Very foggy.
So if you want to know what it's like out there, well, A, it's balmy, it's humid, and it's really dark. So all things to consider when you're getting the kiddos ready to send them off to school. So just be careful out there. It is really, really dark. Okay, so Pete, both Westfield and Southwick, I think, are working on their master plans. I have all this information from Jay Vinsky. So, because I've been reading about Southwick's in the paper, they've already had their, sort of public forum thing. Well, Westfield will be holding their public visioning workshop on Wednesday, November 2nd. So that's a week from today, from 6 to 8 p.m. at Westfield Middle School, which is the one over on West Silver Street by the post office. They are looking for input. So there is a survey. Take the Westfield Master Plan survey. There we go. This way. There it is. Okay. So I have paper and pencil copies of the survey at the Senior Center in the Fireside Lounge if you would like to do that. They would, of course, prefer that you do it online. So if you are at all tech savvy, you can go to the city website. So www.cityofwestfield.org/masterplan. And if you get into that, and they're saying it is 10 minutes, 10 questions, 10 minutes, I think is how they're advertising this. Is that correct? Let me just check.
I believe that's OJ, yeah.
10 questions.
We're running that on channel 12.
10 minutes.
And you can actually scan the QR code.
Yes, you can scan the QR code, which I don't
even on TV.
I don't really understand. How do you scan a QR code? So for somebody
so
who's
if you look in your camera, if you have Google phone, there's a little thing that says, it looks like a barcode.
Okay.
And you click on that, and it'll recognize
It'll recognize
QR.
This little thing here.
Yes.
And that'll take you right to, on your phone, the thing.
Yeah,
Is that how it works?
it shows you a link, and you can click on the link.
Okay, very good. So, I
believe it's similar on the iPhone.
And I would encourage people, even if you don't take the survey, I would encourage you to take the survey. But even if you don't have a chance to do it, if you're working or whatever, go to the public visioning workshop. Because, Pete and I have talked about this about 4 billion kajillion times on this show. If you have something to say, if you have an opinion about the direction the city should be going, how the money should be spent, yeah, but you have to, you have to participate in these things. There are opportunities. So if you don't participate, if you don't voice your opinion, then you don't have any right to complain later on when they're not doing it the way you think they should have done it. Well, here's your opportunity. This is a public visioning workshop. This is the master plan for Westfield. What's your vision? How do you, if you want to live and work and retire in Westfield, what are you hoping for, as the city? What direction would you like to see the city go? This is your opportunity. And they don't do it. It's not like they do this every 6 months, folks. So
this has been like 30 or 40 years.
Speak now or forever hold your peace. Exactly.
I think Jay said it's been forever since they've done
it's been a long time.
Plan.
And I know one of the things that, we are all of the city departments are participating in this. And one of the things that we all had to do was, talk about like ADA compliance. How, of course, I'm in a newer senior center, so I've got the leg up on that one. But how compliant are we? How age friendly is Westfield? How is it dementia friendly? Is it kid friendly? Is it bicycle friendly? All of those things. So if any of those kinds of things are important to you, you need to be there. So it's Wednesday, November 2nd, a week from today. I'm giving you a week's notice, and I'll remind you again next Wednesday on the show. Public Visioning Workshop over at the middle school on Silver Street, right near the post office, from 6 to 8 p.m. Okay, that's that. Now, next announcement. Tonight, the Alzheimer's Support Group will be meeting at Armbrook Village. Our good friend Beth Cardillo over at Armbrook coordinates that. I'm not sure if Beth is facilitating that anymore or if she just is the coordinator of that. But anyway, it's over at Armbrook at 6 p.m. They meet on the last Wednesday of the month. And I think the way Beth is doing it since COVID is every other month they meet in person and every other month they do it virtually, because they found that during COVID they had to do it virtually, and they had a lot of families that were participating that were living all over the country and really appreciating the fact that they could participate. So I think Beth is trying to do exactly what we ended up doing with curbside lunches. You know, you're trying to find
a happy medium.
Yeah, you're fine. Yeah, because now you have all these people that you're providing services for that you weren't providing services for before, and they want you to continue. So I think that's what's going on. But tonight it is in person. They do serve a light dinner. And, you know, it's your opportunity to share some of your struggles in working with your loved one with Alzheimer's, and also some of your successes. And that's what a support group is all about. So if you would like to join the group tonight, please call them. Don't just show up, but call them in advance at Armbrook so they have enough food. And the number there is super easy, 568-0000. Easy to remember. So give them a call. Just say you'd like to join in and participate in tonight's Alzheimer's Support Group meeting. Again, that's at 6 o'clock at Armbrook Village. Okay, at the Senior Center this week, it's the last Friday of the month. It's always a big one. It's gift card bingo. So the winners receive a $5 gift card. If you win the coverall, you get a $10 gift card. You have options on which gift cards you would like to select from. We usually have, I know this time we have McDonald's, we have Dunkin', we have the Dollar Store, we have Stop and Shop. For the coverall, we have either a $10 gift card to Stop and Shop or Big Y. So you do have options. And I want to thank this month's sponsor, because each month we have a sponsor who purchases the gift cards for us. And this month's sponsor is City Councilor Cindy Harris. So thank you to Westfield City Councilor Cindy Harris for sponsoring this month's gift card bingo. Awesome. Okay. Excuse me. Okay. Couple other announcements. Medicare. We are in the midst of Medicare open enrollment, so let me make a few announcements about that. We're finishing up October because we're at the end of the month. In the October Voice of Experience newsletter, we have a lot of articles on Medicare and Medicare open enrollment. And we did that specifically because this is a time when we're inundated with phone calls, people looking for help. You have to select your Medicare Part D drug coverage. People are trying to decide, should I keep what I already have? Is there a better plan out there for me? Is there a plan where I can get more and spend less? And those are big decisions to make, because once you make that decision, you're in that plan for the 1 year. So first of all, I really encourage you to read the newsletter and read all of the articles having to do with Medicare. We have some educational videos. They're called Medicare and You. You can go to the city website. Under departments, click on Council on Aging, and then you'll find the link for the educational videos. We also have been running, Pete's been running our Westfield Council on Aging Presents series hosted by Harry Rock. Lorraine York Edberg is the guest for this month, and the topic is Understanding Medicare Open Enrollment.
Which I've been running extra during the month because it is a topic. I've been just kind of running as fill-in stuff during the month.
Yes, thank you so much, Pete. So that's on Tuesdays and Thursdays in the afternoon for sure, and then whenever Pete can also put that on. I can tell you that our Senior Benefits Coordinator, Lynn Hills, is booked right now for appointments. She's unable to book any more appointments until she kind of catches up. This is her first year doing Medicare open enrollment, so we didn't want to overbook her. If she finishes before the December 7th deadline and we can open up more appointments, we will absolutely do that. But we're saying to people, you can't count on that because we just don't know right now. Everything's going really well. She's doing well with her appointment schedule and with helping folks. But again, I would have you refer to the newsletter because we do have the number for the regional Shine office. That's Lorraine's office, and they will help you over the phone. And we also have the National Medicare 1-800 number. They will help you as well. So there's plenty of help out there. Don't panic, but it is something that you don't want to wait until the last minute to do because the period ends on December 7th. So, we're still early in the game. We'll also have an independent insurance person here next month who also does Medicare open enrollment. And helps folks out with that, and that's Trina Moskal. She's been on the show before. She'll be on in November, kind of talking about that end of it. So there's help out there. Don't panic, but again, refer to the newsletter. All right, let's run through some October tidbits. Then we'll take a short break, and I think my guest is prowling around out in the hallway, so she's on deck. October tidbits. Well, before the Julian and Gregorian calendars, October was the 8th month of the Roman calendar. Octo means 8 in Latin, and at that time there were only 10 months in the calendar year. But in 700 BC, Numa Pompilius added January and February to the calendar, and this change more accurately reflected the length of a year on Earth. As a result, October became the 10th month on the calendar. While other months on the calendar have had days added and subtracted, October has always had 31 days. During the second month of autumn, asters bloom and so do chrysanthemums. Their colors often pair well with the pumpkins and gourds collected from gardens. The hunter's moon is aptly named, considering many seek game in the fields and forests. The month is full of sporting events, too. From the World Series, which has started, to Rugby World Cup finals, sports fans fill the seats. In other activities, October brings a shift in hunting and fishing seasons. Marigolds and cosmos both represent October babies. Marigolds bloom all summer and fall long, but in the fall is where they shine, accenting the harvest season. They symbolize positive emotion and energy. Cosmos, delicate blooms, represent order and harmony. Fast facts. October is the month when the 5-day work week was first sanctioned. The U.S. Naval Academy opened its doors in Annapolis, Maryland in 1845. And 6 U.S. presidents were born in October, more than any other month. John Adams, Rutherford Hayes, Chester Arthur, Theodore Roosevelt, Dwight Eisenhower, and Jimmy Carter. Now, here's my favorite fast tidbit. Fall, including October, is a good time to be born if you want to live a long life. More centenarians are born in the fall months than any other months of the year. So, on that tidbit, we're going to take a short break. When we come back, Carol Palmer will be with us, and she'll be helping us to learn how to live that long life. You're listening to WSKB 89.5 FM radio for the Westfield masses on WCPC Cable Channel 15. We're going to bring Carol in with a theme song I'm putting for her, which is Olivia Newton-John's Let's Get Physical. We'll be back.
Just right, you know what I mean.
Support for the community programming of WSKB is provided by the Dunkin' Donut Shops of Westfield and the Sardinia family. It's nice to know that even as the world changes, Dunkin' Coffee remains the same at 7 convenient locations throughout Westfield.
Join us every Thursday morning
from 6 until at least 7:30.
Check out the Bobby G and Company Show
right here on WSKB 89.5
Community Radio.
89.5 WSKB. Live from Studio 120 at Westfield Technical Academy, this is WCPC Channel 15 and 89.5 FM, WSKB Westfield.
Good morning, Westfield. It is 7:19. You're listening to WSKB 89.5 FM, radio for the Westfield masses, and WCPC Cable Channel 15.
I'm scared.
My name is Tina Gorman. I'm your Wake Up Wednesday host, and I am joined this morning with I've got Carol Palmer over here. And as promised, I said to you earlier, Pete, I said Halloween is coming. I never know what Carol's going to show up in, and she has her hat. Oh my God, and I love it. She's like, "Do you think it'll fit over my hair?" And I finally figured out, Carol, who you remind me of, Bette Midler.
Oh my God, I've heard that before.
You must have heard that like 1,000 times.
I have heard that.
But every time I see him, like, who does she? And I can't believe I didn't come up with that years ago because I've been a huge Bette Midler fan forever. But I think it was this morning when you ever pulled out that hat and said, "Can I fit it over my hair?" And I'm going, the red hair that's up here with the hat. It's Bette Midler. Oh
yeah.
My God.
My great grandson said,
So
with Hocus Pocus 2 that came out.
Yeah.
He said to me, "Nona, you really should be doing that Bette Midler part with
Oh
your
my
hair."
God.
So,
You are so, oh my gosh. You are like, you talk about a wake up Wednesday. I am totally wide awake now.
wake up, everybody.
Exactly.
Well, I have a different outfit for my classes tomorrow.
I know. Carol's got so Halloween is on Monday.
Right.
I'm sure that Halloween in your house is like bigger than Christmas.
No.
No,
Christmas is the big one.
It's big. Okay.
But
It's huge.
because the kids don't come to my house, I have to go there.
Yeah.
So I have to dress up and
go out.
Go out.
Yeah,
Yes.
exactly. Well, Carol, I am thrilled to have you on the show. So Pete and I were talking about this, and I said, Carol you've only been a guest on my show once, I think.
Yeah.
And that was a million years ago. We were still up at the college doing radio.
That's right.
And I think it was you and Sue Wood. And it might have been Andrea, too. I might have had all three of you on because I think it's when we first opened up the senior center. We were talking about programming and so forth.
Yep.
So it's been a really long time, and I know that you are co-hosting with your son Joe.
Oh God, the Joe Show.
The Joe Show.
Yeah.
I know. So this is a different role. I also know that you're having voice issues this morning.
I am.
So it's
I'm not sick, but
No.
it was really interesting. I went to rehearsal last night and for the Christmas show. And I was trying to sing, and I'm like, Pottersville, is it? I guess I don't have a voice. So I must speak in my lower register, which my husband loves for some reason. He thinks it's attractive. But.
Gary, I remember when Gary was in chiropractic school a million years ago, and I lost my voice, and it was several weeks, and they didn't know what was going on. But anyway, Gary kept saying, "Wow, you sound really sexy."
I know,
right?
It
was this whole kind of sexy thing going on, and
no.
I said, "Well, yeah, but I could not project at all. I mean, it was like affecting my life here."
See how guys are? Never mind that you're sick, but you sound great.
You sound great, exactly. We don't change. I'm like, no, I would like to feel better. Thank you. All right, so Carol,
yes,
we're going to talk about the importance of exercise. We're going to talk about incorporating all that into our lives and everything. But before we do that, I really want to go back to, I'm going to treat you just like I would any other guest that I have on the show that I haven't either interviewed in a long time or interviewed at all. And let's talk a little bit about your background. How did you get into doing what you were doing at the YMCA? How did that happen? Because I find for most people, especially people our age, I wasn't in the third grade and thinking, oh, I'm going to be the director of a senior center someday. It's like I didn't even know what a senior center was.
Right.
So how did you sort of evolve into doing that?
Well, my background is, the women in my family never, they were active, but they never really got into exercise. And of course, back in the 80s, with the jogging generation, I decided that I didn't want to gain a lot of weight, so I decided to start jogging. Then I found these aerobic classes at the Y, and I started to take an aerobic class, and the funny story is I was not, how shall we say, coordinated.
Graceful, coordinated?
Yes.
Okay.
And so when the rest of the class was doing a 3-point turn, mine was like 2.5. And the instructor, because I laughed so hard at myself, and she looked at me and she said, you know what? You would make a great instructor. And I went, oh, yeah, that'll happen. And she said, no, because you can laugh at yourself and roll with the punches.
Yeah.
So you'd make a great instructor. Next thing I knew, I was away at trainings and went on to teach many classes a week, moved here. And
well,
just
where were you where was that? Where
that
did
was in
happen?
Corning, New York.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
I'm thinking it's at the YMCA here in Westfield. No, that was in New
So
York.
I was 7
Okay.
years there.
Okay.
And then came here and just happened to step into Joan Marshall's shoes. I'll never forget. They hired me and Vinny Olinsky, right? He kind of conned me into doing some classes.
Now, what was Vinny Olinsky doing? Was he?
He was the program director back then.
Okay. Oh my gosh.
And John Barclay, God
Okay.
love him. He was a great man. But they neglected to tell me because Joan would teach and, manage the department. And then she'd take the summers off and go to the Cape. So I thought mistakenly that I would have my summers off and like a teaching job.
Yeah.
Not.
That's not happening.
Yeah. So it evolved. And of course the classes grew and grew and grew. And I added more and more and more. So that's how my job there progressed. I went to I was a program director, and then I was the fitness director. And then when Harry was there, hi, Harry. When Harry's
coming on after us.
Okay,
Show us
good.
after
I'll be
us
able to see him.
With Boso.
So I said to him, Harry, we really need to divide this department because the active older adults had increased to such a level that they needed more services, that they needed trips, and I couldn't do all of that and handle all of the other fitness stuff.
Yeah.
So we divided things up, and I became an active older adult director. And that included all the parties, all the trips, all the classes. And I did that for a good many years, 20 years. Mm-hmm. And then when I retired, I loved being retired, but I really missed the people. Mm-hmm. So when the opportunity came up with you, after 40 years at the Y, I decided I want to get back into it. And oh my God, I have the best classes ever.
Yeah.
They're so cool and they're so nice.
Yeah. It's a lot of fun. I mean,
it's a lot of fun.
It's a lot of fun. So it's really interesting. What I wanted to ask Carol, like as things started to, I think in your words, kind of explode, the classes got bigger and bigger.
Yep.
Why do you think that was happening? Like what was going on that you think, why was that happening?
The boomers were aging and again, it's an exercising generation. Mm-hmm. Back in the 80s, we learned how important that is for you and why. And I think as people aged, they said, I can't run a marathon anymore, but I can take an aerobic class, which is what brought them to the Y. Mm-hmm. And any place that has active older adult classes geared for that population, which is entirely different than the cycling classes and the power classes and stuff like that. Mm-hmm. And I think the socialization is important, and they found that there. They made friends there. They went on trips with friends there. And, by the way, don't forget to show up for class on Monday. It was, I think that's why it grew the way it did. The population grew.
Yep.
And they were more active. This is not your grandmother's generation.
It's so funny. I have used that expression. So I'm like, this is not your grandmother's senior center.
Correct.
It's the same thing. It's like it's so
Correct.
different than
Very
trips
different.
and bingo. And we do that. We have that.
Yep.
But there's all this other stuff as well. But I think a
Right.
lot of, and for me in my role as director of the senior center, I've spent a lot of time and a lot of energy educating each new group of city councilors that come in as to what we do and why we do it and what's important and why it's important.
Yeah, absolutely.
And I think so much of it is an educational piece, which is, kind of why we're here today. And I want to go back to something you just said, Carol, and you were emphatic in saying the classes for the active older adults are entirely different than.
Oh, yeah.
How so and why?
Well, first of all, they have to be low impact. You can't. You can't. Here's what I say to my classes. I'm not saying you can't run a mile, but then the question becomes, should I be running instead of walking?
Okay.
Because walking has all the benefits and it's less stress on your joints, which are losing synovial fluid as we get older. It's just something that happens. And there are many older runners, I'm not saying that, but for the general population, it needs to be a low impact class. It needs to have restrictions as far as even strength training. And that's only because when you're working with general pops, you don't know how many people in that class have arthritis, have heart problems. So it's just better to keep it at a more mellow level. That's not to say it isn't a good workout, by the way. If my class members were here, they would tell you that. We do 25 minutes of cardio. So it's 25 minutes of moving to strengthen your heart and lungs, but no jumping, no high impact activities. That's how it differs.
Okay. All right.
And a little more stretching.
Yeah, which is really important. And we're going to take a break in just a minute, but I do want to come back to that. I want to come back to the stretching part, and because that is, I can remember even like as a cheerleader back in the day, like that was a big deal back then. That was in the 70s. But, but stretching ahead of time was so important. And but I think we need to kind of talk about why is that so important. So let's take a break. Take a break. We're going to let your voice rest. We're going to listen to, it's Keith Urban's birthday. So in honor of his birthday.
Oh, I love him.
Yep. We're going to listen to Where the Blacktop Ends. That'll get our blood pumping, and we'll get moving. You're listening to WSKB 89.5 FM, radio for the Westfield masses, and WCPC cable channel 15. It's 7:30. My guest is Carol Palmer. Let's listen to some Keith Urban, and we'll be back.
My shoes and run in bare feet, where the grass and the dirt and the gravel on me. Going back to the well, gonna visit old friends and feed my soul where the blacktop ends. I'm looking down the barrel of Friday night and riding on the river freeway lights. A goodbye city, I'm country bound till Monday rolls around. Gonna kick off my shoes and run in bare feet, where the grass and the dirt and the gravel on me. Going back to the well, gonna visit old friends and feed my soul where the blacktop ends. Working in the grind is an uphill road. I'm punching that clock and carrying that load. I busted all week and then I'm free. The weekend belongs to me. I'm gonna kick off my shoes and run in bare feet, where the grass and the dirt and the gravel on me. Going back to the well, gonna visit old friends and feed my soul where the blacktop ends. So come on, give me some fresh air, give me that fun. Give me some time with you in my arms. Far away from the hustle and the pressure and the noise. Wanna kick out my shoes and run in bare feet, where the grass and the dirt and the gravel on me. Going back to the well, gonna visit old friends and feed my soul. You betcha. Gonna kick out my shoes and run in bare feet, where the grass and the dirt and the gravel on me. Going back to the well, gonna visit old friends and feed my soul where the blacktop ends. Where the blacktop ends. Where the blacktop ends.
Underwriting for the community programming of WSKB is provided by the Boys and Girls Club of Greater Westfield, serving the youth of the Whip City and surrounding communities since 1969. For more information on the Great Futures Club for ages 3 to 5, happening weekdays, and the Club Teen Center for ages 11 and older, weekdays from 6:30 till 8 p.m., go online at bcgwestfield.org or visit the club at 28 West Silver Street. The Boys and Girls Club of Greater Westfield, Great futures start here.
Hi, this is Harry Rock, host of Rock on Westfield every fourth Wednesday at 8 a.m. Tune in for my view of this place I call home.
Community Radio.
89.5 WSKB. Live from Studio 120 at Westfield Technical Academy, this is WCPC Channel 15 and 89.5 FM WSKB Westfield.
Good morning, Westfield. It is 7:34. You're listening to WSKB 89.5 FM, radio for the Westfield masses, and WCPC Cable Channel 15. My name is Tina Gorman. I'm your Wake Up Wednesday host, and I'm in the studio this morning with
I've already warned Harry that Carol's in the studio.
Oh my God, with Carol Palmer. Carol is her technical title is Group Exercise Instructor at the Westfield Senior Center.
Right.
You know what, Carol? You show up and it's a party. Every day is a party with Carol Palmer. I swear to God, you are so fun. So we've got this witch's hat here, this polka dot witch's hat here, which is amazing. So we're talking about, just exercise and the importance of exercise and the difference. You talked a little bit about the difference between exercises with older adults versus the population at large.
Right.
And one of the things that you mentioned, Carol, and I want to kind of start off here is the importance of stretching. So why is that so important? Not just for seniors, it is especially important, I think, for seniors, but for anybody. But why do we need to do stretching?
Okay, so here's the thing. If you're going out for a walk, and this I tell them this all the time too. What should you do before? What should you do to warm up for your walk? Mm-hmm. Walk. Start at a slower pace and then speed up. The thing that you don't want to do is stretch before you exercise. That's not something you should be doing. You can warm up in other ways without having to stretch. The real stretching should come after you walk, after you run. That's why we have it at the end of classes.
Okay.
We don't stretch before class. We warm up with some easy movements, but you don't do static stretching until after your body is warmed up and exercising and the cardio is over. Okay. And then we stretch.
Okay.
And to be honest, we don't have enough time to stretch as we should, which is why I push the other classes that are available, like chair yoga, which is Terry's a wonderful instructor, and she teaches, stretching, and that would be the perfect combination. And by the way, of course, we have fun. My class is called, you named it, Totally Fun Fitness.
And the fun is capitalized, by the way, in the middle.
Right.
Totally TFF, but the fun is all capitals.
I told him a joke the other day. I said, my family and I dressed up as almonds for Halloween, and the whole neighborhood thought we were nuts. That was my joke of the day.
I love it. I love it.
But it is serious exercise, but we do try and do some funny little things along the way. And I'll say to them, you know what that exercise is good for? Nothing. We just want to have fun. Point to the audience. Point to the audience.
Exactly.
It's
so important though. So, Carol, let's talk a little bit about, we kind of do live in a society where we're sitting at computers, we're on our cell phones, we're watching TV, and now we've got 800,000 stations to choose from.
Right.
And now, do you remember the old days where you actually had to get up off the couch and turn the channel?
And we had 3 channels.
Right. And now it's, remote. You don't ever have to get up. And now, and remember the old days when you actually had commercials because you couldn't tape things. And so, it was during the commercials that you would get up and, I would get up and fold the laundry or, move something from the washer to the dryer, make a snack, go to the bathroom. Now you could literally sit for 8 hours in a row if you wanted to.
Because you could fast forward through the commercials.
Exactly. So why is that not a good thing to just be sitting? And how do we sort of incorporate more movement? I don't even say exercise, but movement.
Right. And that's one point I wanted to make this morning. There's a big difference between exercise and activity.
Okay.
So what I'm saying is there's an old formula that I'll tell you about. But what I'm saying is you need to be active every day, especially if you're over 60. You need to be active. That does not mean you have to walk 5 miles a day.
Okay.
What that means is you got to get up off the couch. And I encourage my people to let the commercial run and walk in place or get down on the floor and do some abs or stretch a little bit while the commercial's on. And you know, one thing that I have them do now, and I do this myself, is when you're in the car, especially in the winter when it's cold, what do you see? This.
Yeah.
So I said to them, here's your trigger. When you hit a stop sign or a stoplight, sit up straight.
Okay.
Straighten out your spine. And I've caught myself hundreds of times at the stoplight like this. You know, and oh my God, it's a stoplight. So those little triggers.
Ooh, that's a great tip.
Yeah, those little triggers will help your back and your abs, because you can't have a healthy back without healthy abs, and the other way around. So that's one thing I want to stress, that you need to be active. You do not need to go into hardcore exercise every day. And my formula is this: when you're in, used to tell my people this. When you're in your 30s, 20s and 30s, you can exercise 3 or 4 times a week vigorously. When you're in your 40s, 4 times a week, but the level drops a little bit.
Sort of moderate.
Right.
A little bit.
When you're in your 50s, 5 times a week. But again, now we're getting into that activity. So if you like to dance, if you want to get down and play with the kids on the floor, whatever, that's 5 days a week. In your 60s, 6 days a week. Again, level dropping a little bit. 70s, 7 days a week, every day. I used to have a lady in my class, Kathy Fitzgerald. She was in her 80s, and she'd go, at the time, she was in front row of my class, and she'd go, what does that mean? I said, Kathy, that means you have to do twice on Sunday.
Yeah, there you go.
I'll say, okay.
8 days a week, just like the Beatles song.
Right, exactly. So that's the important thing, is that you keep moving. You also have to figure out, for your body and your fitness level and your health, what's the best kind of exercise I should have. Certainly after 60, you don't want to do a lot of high impact unless you've been a lifelong runner like you, and it doesn't bother your knees, and you then keep going.
You know, interestingly, I have not been a runner for that. I only started running in my mid-50s, only because my family, my daughter and my husband were really into it, and I thought, I'm never going to see them if I don't take this up, so that we can do, and we did some 5Ks and things like that together. But I was a dancer. I love to dance.
There you go.
You name it, any kind of dance. And when Zumba came out, I was all over that. I mean, I was doing Zumba, 2-3 times a week. And then, then stuff started happening. Then we built a new senior center. I'm like, well, that was like a whole other full-time job on top of the full-time job I already had.
Exactly.
Running I also got into running just because I could do it. It wasn't a set class schedule that I had to be somewhere. It's like, okay, good. I have 20 minutes. I have a half an hour. Let me go run. But, it's interesting, even with my running. So, then COVID hit. So I wasn't doing any road races, and I was kind of staying more in my neighborhood. I'm also very careful about the surfaces that I run on, because I don't have any knee or hip problems, and I don't want to have any.
Right.
So I'm careful about that. But I've started to increase. I was telling somebody this, and I just did it. I didn't even share this with Gary for a long time. But over the summer, I didn't worry at all about my time. I just started increasing my distance.
Yeah.
So I was my pace was slower, but my distance was farther. So I would go longer. So I maxed out which is the farthest that I'll go for, at least for this summer, as the weather starts getting colder. But a couple of weeks ago, Gary was gone. He did a 4-day bike trip, cycling trip. And I did 7.25.
Wow.
Which is, but more for me, that was kind of cool. But when I looked at my time, it was like an hour and 24 minutes or an hour and 25 minutes.
So slower.
Right, it was slower. But the thing was, I was like, but that meant I was moving for an hour and 25 minutes, not at a fast pace. I wasn't racing by any stretch of the other imagination. And the other thing is I didn't know ahead of time my distance. I never know that. I clock my, I use map my ride after I get back.
Right.
It's like, oh, let's see how far I went today.
Right.
I added streets as I went along, and I take different routes, and I just do different things. But it was back to what you were saying, Carol. It's like that, I wasn't racing. I'm not even sure how I would do in a 5K now, because I did the Boys and Girls Club 10K. That's the first 10K I ever did. That was on my bucket list, was to run a 10K, and I did that in September.
Yeah.
And that was my thing. I was just like, let's just see if I can do the distance. I'm not worried about the time, but if I can just finish this and run the whole thing at whatever pace, that's so cool. And I did that, and I was really proud of myself.
Yeah, 30 years ago, I ran half marathons.
Yeah.
And I graduated from that to 10Ks and then
Yes.
5Ks. And then my knee went, and now I'm a walker.
Yeah.
So this is what you have to do. And sometimes it's very hard for some people. Is Harry listening? Sometimes it's very hard for some people as they mature to cut back on that because they don't want to say, I can't.
Yeah.
And again, I'm going to bring that up. Can you? Sure. Should you? Maybe not.
Not necessarily.
So that's the bottom line to it. And unfortunately, some people will push it until something happens. And then they have to, go backwards.
Yeah.
So it's important that you know your body and your health and take it from there.
I think the other thing, and I've preached this for years, but I think you have to find something that you like to do.
You bet.
Right? To
You
keep
bet.
active. Because otherwise you will come up with 1,000 excuses of why you can't do whatever you're supposed to be doing that day.
Right.
So if I was never like, I didn't love running. I did it because like if I couldn't get to a Zumba class or a dance class, it's like, all right, I'll go run just to, keep myself moving. I'm enjoying it a lot more now because I solve all the world's problems, all my senior center problems, because I run by myself. So I'm out there,
It's meditative. It's meditative.
It is. And and now that I'm doing longer distances but slowing down, I'm kind of, I can look at the leaves changing.
Yeah.
I'm looking at all the decorations that people put out because I started doing that when Gary and I were walking during COVID. And I walk as well. So it's not like I run every time. But I think it's really important to find what you love. If you don't like bicycling, then you're not going to do it. You'll find 1,000 reasons not to.
You betcha. And that's why I nobody's listening, I hope.
Yeah.
Okay, I do not like exercise machines.
Yeah, I don't either.
I get bored.
Yeah.
I never liked running. I did it because it kept the weight off me, and I had a girlfriend that was a partner, and we'd talk the whole way.
Yeah.
So I did that, and it was a goal, to run a 10K or something was a goal. But I never really liked it. I enjoy walking.
Yep.
I enjoy walking with friends. I love, and that's why I started taking classes. I'm not bored in a class.
Yeah.
So I will tend to go back. And the older we get, the more we need that socialization. And it's also a mood enhancer. Those little endorphins start running, and pretty soon you're in a better mood than when you came in the door. I've heard that 100 times.
And you know what, Carol? I have said this 100 times too. Every single group that meets at the senior center, whether it's Totally Fun Fitness, whichever chair yoga, the card players, the pool player, they become an informal support group.
Right.
So it is having fun. It's also, hey, how's your daughter doing? I heard she had surgery last week.
Right.
I mean, it becomes this support group, and that socialization piece and that support, I think, is just so important.
Oh, it's vitally important as we mature.
Yeah. Well, yeah, because the older we get, the more, it's just the more that life gets in the way with our kids and our grandkids and our siblings and our parents.
Sandwiches. We're
Sandwich
sandwiches.
generation, parents and everything else.
So it's vitally important. And it's also not only socialization, it's a mood enhancer. It's good for your health. But like you said, sometimes you may want to try 8 or 10 different things just to find what is good for you, what's fun for you, what will you continue to do. Because, here's a famous quote, fitness is not a destination, it's a journey.
It's a journey.
And so from now until you cannot do anything anymore, which hopefully will never happen, you need to find what keeps you active. And I'm going to use that phrase again because people get nervous when I say you have to exercise. You don't necessarily have to kill yourself exercising, but you have to stay on your feet and you have to stay active. And there isn't a doctor in the world that wouldn't agree with me. So,
absolutely,
you just have to stay active. And it does everything for you to stay active.
And a lot of ways to do that. All right, we're going to give your voice a little break and take our last break. It is 6:48. You're listening to WSKB 89.5 FM radio for the Westfield masses and WCPC cable channel 15. So if your mom's name is Mrs. Brown, you're going to love this song because we're going to listen to Herman's Hermits singing, Mrs. Brown, You've Got a Lovely Daughter. This is in honor of the birthday of Keith Hopwood. We'll be back.
Mrs. Brown, you've got a lovely daughter. Girls as sharp as her are something rare. But it's sad, she doesn't love me now. She's made it clear enough, it ain't no good to pine. She wants to return those things I bought her. Tell her she can keep them just the same. Things have changed, she doesn't love me now. She's made it clear enough, it ain't no good to pine. Walking about, even in a crowd, well, you'll pick her out. Makes a bloke feel so proud if she finds that I've been round to see you. Tell her that I'm well and feeling fine. Don't let on, don't say she's broke my heart. I'd go down on my knees, but it's no good to pine. Walking about, even in a crowd, well, you pick her out. Makes a bloke feel so proud if she finds that I've been round to see you. Tell her that I'm well and feeling fine. Don't let on, don't say she's broke my heart. I'd go down on my knees, but it's no good to pine. Mrs. Brown, you've got a lovely daughter. Mrs. Brown, you've got a lovely daughter. Mrs. Brown, you've got a lovely daughter.
Support for the community programming of WSKB is provided by the Barnes and Noble College Bookstore in the Ely Campus Center, offering Westfield State t-shirts, sweatshirts, and gift merchandise, all of your academic needs, and offering textbook materials in new, used, ebook, and rental formats. Available at the bookstore on campus or online at westfieldstate.bncollege.com.
Join us every Thursday morning
From 6 until at least 7:30,
Check out the Bobby G and Company Show.
right here on WSKB 89.5.
Community Radio.
89.5 WSKB. Live from Studio 120 at Westfield Technical Academy, this is WCPC Channel 15 at 89.5 FM, WSKB Westfield.
Good morning, Westfield. It is 7:52. You're listening to WSKB 89.5 FM radio for the Westfield
Is Harry
masses.
being disruptive in there in the
And
break?
WCPC Cable Channel 15. I'm telling you, we are having the best time here this morning. Harry came in. Harry Rock came in. He's
I saw you guys
waiting in the
almost falling
wings.
out of your chairs. in
Well,
there
you
or
know,
something,
it's
yeah.
we're talking about old times at the Y when Carol worked for Harry and Carol's antics. I have to ask you this, Carol.
Yes.
Now, were you like the class clown? Were you like voted the class clown in your high school or something? What were you like as a kid?
No, but you know what?
Or
That-
don't tell me you were like shy and reserved.
Oh, no, I was never shy.
I was going to say, I
was-
can't
oh,
even
God.
imagine that.
No, I was never shy, but I always, when I picked out boyfriends, and
Yeah.
I always would try to find one with a sense of humor. Like if a guy
Yes.
came up and told me a
Yes.
joke and we laughed, that was who I was going
Yes.
out with that weekend because I just loved comedy. I loved having people around me that laughed a lot and had a sense of humor, and that was my thing. I was not the class clown, but because I was
Hard to believe as she says that with a polka dot witch's hat on her head.
I was,
okay.
I was too interested in boys.
Oh, understood.
So I had to be pretty, not
Yeah.
funny.
Oh.
Later, I was funny.
Yeah.
With Harry, I was always funny. I just have to tell that story. I'd go into his office mad about something, and he'd look up and he'd go, "I can tell that you're upset and mad because your hair's getting redder." And so And it was true.
Well, it's tough when you're at the top, because when you're dealing with a whole, and Harry was just in here talking about that. You've got a lot of different kinds of personalities in your workforce, and you're trying to get the maximum work capacity out of each one, make each person feel productive and, self-worth and all that other good stuff. It's hard to do the bigger your staff gets.
Right.
And,
at one point I had 14 instructors working for me. So, and each and every one was different. And here's the other thing too. I like that.
Yeah.
Because they related to their classes each in their own way.
Yeah.
I used to call them Stepford instructors. Some places train all their instructors the same way to do the same thing. So if you switch a class, you got the same thing. No, I didn't like any of that. I said, you be you. I hired you for your personality. I can train you to teach a class. Case in point, Terry.
Okay.
I hired Terry. I could see that she related to our population, even though she's younger. She's a great instructor. I didn't care. I can train you to do other things. What I need is somebody who has a great sense of humor and can relate to people and empathetic and that sort of thing.
Yeah.
And that's how I hired people. So I had a great staff.
Yeah.
Some of them are still there.
Yeah, yes, absolutely, no doubt about it. So, Carol, let's kind of wrap up. We have a couple more minutes, so let's talk a little bit about, for those people who, how do you get more movement? We've talked a little bit about this, more movement, more activity, just in your daily. We talked about the fact that don't rush through the commercials. That's your opportunity to, get on the floor and do something, do some stretches, do some, walk around the coffee table, 3 or 4 times. And I've said too, just, parking at the end of the parking lot. When I go to stop, Big Wire Stop and Shop, I'm the car away. Yeah. And I do that. I was behind a woman one time, Carol. Oh my God, I got to tell this story. I wish I knew this woman's name, because I would plant her right in the middle of the senior center. So it was late at night. It was probably about 9:00, and I was coming back from work, and I had stopped at the Big Y to grab a few things. There was a woman in front of me who had to be in her 80s, and I would say mid-80s. So she's, doing her, and I'm thinking to myself, why is she out shopping at like 9:00? Like, that's late for somebody, there were only like 3 of us in the store, but be that as it may. So she finishes her thing, and I only had a few items, so it didn't take me very long. I get out to the parking lot, and she has her cart. And I'm not kidding when I tell you, her car was parked as far away as it could be, like almost to where Walgreens is. We were at the Big Y over by Amelia Park.
Right.
Skipping. She was skipping. She wasn't hopping. She was skipping and humming, and my car was parked kind of near hers. So she put the cart away, and I stopped her, and I said, I just have to ask you. I said, like, you're skipping. And she goes, well, she said, and she told me, she goes, well, I'm in my 80s. And she said, and I want to be able to stay as independent as possible. So she said, she goes, and plus it's fun. She looked at me, she goes, it's fun. She goes, have you tried skipping? And I said, well, I used to do it as a kid, but I feel like I need to start doing it. She said, oh, you can't help but either sing or laugh while you're doing it.
Well, that's
true.
Who
doesn't love skipping?
Oh, I hope she takes my class.
What a great attitude.
If you're out there, sign up.
No, I said to her, I run the senior
it.
center. Please come by. Please come.
Oh, yeah.
Bring all that great positive
we need
energy.
That. Yeah, that would be
So
great.
there's one. And she was just, maybe that's why she shopped at 9:00, because she thought, oh, well, if they see me doing this at 3 in the afternoon, somebody's going to want to put me into, the Feller unit or something.
Well, what's really funny? One time I told my classes, I said, when you're at the mall and you're walking the mall and, people are visualizing you as somebody older, just start skipping.
Yeah.
Start out of nowhere. Just skip down the hallway of the mall and see what happens.
And get the reaction.
Right.
I know. It's just so cool.
Well, here's the other thing I want to say. You love to dance. So, that's the other thing you can do. Turn off the TV, turn on some music, do your dishes or whatever you need to do, and move to the music.
I take a lot of dance breaks.
Yeah.
When there's nobody in the
awesome.
house. I dance a lot when there's nobody looking. And I do it in front of the mirror, so I'm trying some new moves.
Right. Do it in front of the windows.
I do it. Wait, I haven't tried doing it in front of the window.
The neighbors see.
But, when I was a little kid, that's funny, though, because when I was a little kid, I took dance lessons for a long time, and I used to spend a week with my grandmother. And my grandmother lived I grew up in northern New Jersey. My grandmother lived in the city, closer to New York.
Oh, cool.
In New Jersey, but kind of closer. So the houses were close together. It was an old street, old houses, so they all had a front porch. And when I was 6, 7, 8 years old, I would go out on the front porch in the summer and I would practice my dancing and my steps and stuff. And there was no music. I mean, I didn't have anything, but it was in my head.
Yes,
It was my music from my lessons. And one time my grandmother told me that the neighbor across the street, of course, I'm thinking there's nobody watching. I probably didn't care anyway. But the neighbor across the street said she would just park. She was older. She said, I would take my cup of coffee or my cup of tea and I would just watch Tina for an hour out there dancing on the front porch. I'm not doing it on the front porch.
Well,
but I'm doing it in the.
But you can.
I take breaks when I'm cleaning because I put my music on and it's like, this is a great dance song.
Yep,
So
I do that too.
Trying some
And
moves.
the other thing I want to say, and before we have to end, I know we're close.
Yeah.
People have said to me, well, now, fairly healthy people have said, well, we downsized and we moved to a ranch so I wouldn't have the steps. And my question is, why don't you want the steps? There are some infirmities that you cannot do a lot of steps. Most not. You just, it's hard because as we get older, your muscles get weaker if you're not moving around. Mm-hmm. But the steps are the best thing you can do.
Yeah, you can buy a Stairmaster, right? I mean, people pay money to do stairs in a gym.
Keep going up and down the steps. I'm telling you.
Yeah.
It's as I said,
and there's
I have a
another
bad
way,
knee,
and there's another way to incorporate it. When
Yes.
when I go to places, instead of taking I do it at the senior center.
Yeah.
I'll send like a cart full of stuff or medical equipment, which is all upstairs. I'll send that on the elevator because I'm not going to drag it all up, and I can't drag a wheelchair up and down.
Right.
But I run up and down the stairs. I'll meet
Yes.
it up or down. Like I typically.
You
take
should
the
you should
stairs.
do that. And so when people say to me, we downsized and got a ranch, I go, why?
Yeah.
Now go out and buy a stepper, because you
well,
need
walk
those.
around the house.
You need those steps. So don't give away your stairs.
So I think one of the takeaways as we end this session and get ready for Harry Rock's Rock on Westfield is to just say to people, think of not the easy way to do things. Think of how can I get some movement and some activity?
Absolutely. Yeah, it's important.
All right. Carol Palmer, thank you so much for gracing us with your presence this morning.
Happy
Always
Halloween.
a great time. Everyone stay healthy. Harry Rock is on next with Bo Sullivan with Rock on Westfield, and I will be back next week with Dr. Gary Gorman. Have a good one.
Here comes that rainy day feeling again, and soon my tears they will be falling like rain. It always seems to be a Monday, leftover memories of Sunday, always spent with you before the clouds appear. Took away my sunshine.
Support for the community programming of WSKB is